Hello, everyone. I'm John with Pacific Cloud IT. I'm met over here with Randy, Bryan from tekRESCUE. We're excited to bring you guys all in here. We're going to be talking about some exciting stuff today. And if you guys want to just hit like or subscribe to YouTube, it would be really help us share this content more out with the world. So I've got Randy here. How you doing over there, Randy?
Pretty good, John. It's a great day. I want to also encourage people, if you have a question or comment, it supposedly theoretically will come back and we'll see it while we're going live. So whatever platform you're on, go ahead and push put the question or comment down below. Should show up live where we can answer it. If for whatever reason it doesn't get through, we'll come back and we will answer it later. But it's a great day today. It's beautiful outside. We've actually had a couple of days here in Texas that felt like the summer. I was out on a photo walk with some OnePlus phone brand ambassadors on Saturday, and it was actually freaking hot. It's like our first day. It's been hot like all summer. Isn't that crazy? And we got a lot of rain yesterday. So, today is nice and balmy outside. It's a great day, man. What's it like over there?
Well, it's actually pretty mild in comparison to Texas. I know we just hung out last week for a little bit at our little cybersecurity conference, and it was hot in Texas. When I come to Oregon, I mean, we've got, what is it right now? I mean, it's 66 degrees outside, sunny, beautiful. So the humidity is a little different over there. But it was great. It was great to hang out with you, great to hang out with a bunch of people in our industry. So just kind of enjoying a little bit of the weather in Oregon.
Awesome. Awesome.
Well, today we're going to be talking about a big hot topic. We're going to be talking about ransomware as a service. This is something I recently found out about, and it's basically starting to become more and more common. And specifically, we're going to be talking about the Lockbit ransomware as a service. So, Randy, what kind of is ransomware as a service?
So, back in the day, like what, a year ago, right? Back in the day, your cyber criminals were, a lot of them were coming from specific organizations that might develop ransomware. And somebody in the past couple of years has gotten the idea, well, we're spending all this money on development. Why just keep it all to ourselves? And so like the as a service added on to the end. So like you have other examples of this, because this would be like an example of a software as a service. So another example would be like Microsoft 365. So back in the day, used to all be located on your computer. You would download it, install it, and set it up and all this stuff. But what they've done is they've moved it to the cloud. So you can still get, your Microsoft Word and your PowerPoint and all that. You can still get your email, but instead of being only on your computer, it's also in the cloud. So they're selling it all like bundled up as a service. So same thing's going on here. Ransomware, they're just taking the development, they're taking a lot of the other things kind of out of the mix. They're handling that, but then they're selling the ability for criminals to put ransomware on people's computers as a service. So I don't know if you pay them a cut or if you buy it all up once, outright. That's really not the point. The point here is it's like the heavy lifting, on the back ends, all handled by them, where the criminal now, all they have to do is purchase this service and get it on some computers and, allow them to do the rest, basically.
Yeah, honestly, it's pretty scary. I think one of the reasons what kind of really stuck out to me is the idea of this can be now very scalable. I'm sure they've got ads all over the dark web, basically for people to come in and join, basically purchase this the same way you would market any other software. Now, most anyone that doesn't even have this technical knowledge can now go in and use this ransomware stuff to attack people. And people are doing it all over. So I think it's causing a lot more increase of attacks. The easier you make it, the more people are going to do it. And if you see insurance companies are just willing to spend, push out $50,000 or, 1 or 2 Bitcoin whenever. So it's a great business in a way for criminals to be in right now, especially working from home, COVID. So the easier they make it, the more profitable this company is with this software. So it's pretty scary when you think about it. But yeah, I mean, but Lockbit itself, I mean, what's a little different about Lockbit?
So there's a couple things about it that are in the news right now. One of them, I just read an article in the last couple of days that Lockbit is different because it only encrypts a tiny part. It's 4K, which is like just a tiny little segment of the file. So it encrypts little tiny segments of the files. That way, the security software, which is looking at everything, doesn't really notice a change. So right now, that's a big deal because it's getting by some of those ramifications. Do you want me to go ahead and show the article that this is in?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we got an article over here, honestly, showing Lockbit. It's actually Lockbit 2.0 because they're evolving, when it's software, making it more exciting with new versions. I mean, it's just attacking companies all around the world, basically. I mean, they're pulling in millions, and they're trying to gather a lot of account credentials.
Yeah, they are. And we'll get right back to the article here, but this thing with the 4K, the way that most security software is watching over files, it allows them basically to slip under the radar. But since they're encrypting part of the file, they're basically breaking it. But I would say in a matter of months, if not weeks, that the security software involved is just going to update itself to where they're going to have to basically build. I mean, I'm thinking of a way right now. It's they build a hash, which I don't want to get out into the weeds too much, but basically they build a hash which matches that file exactly. And then the security software checks that file and then also compares it to a known good hash is what's going to have to happen. Now, it's a little more intricate than that because what if the user opened it and made a change, blah, blah, blah. But bottom line, it's going to have to involve a little more. They won't have to check every single file because usually these involve, the files that the users really care about. So, if you like encrypt like some DLL that Windows runs on, it's going to break the whole system. Nobody's going to get paid. So they want to just encrypt the files the users care about. So The other kind of scary thing about this is that it throws a wallpaper on the victims. You know how you mentioned the ads out on the dark web? Well, they're doing all that. It's also throwing a wallpaper on the victim's, desktop, basically recruiting, like saying, hey, you could make millions of dollars by joining up with us, give us the credentials for your network and we'll pay you money, join up with us to do this. That's a really disturbing part of this. Also, I think that's kind of the two things that really set this apart. Not that that's, the recruiting victims. I don't know that that's been done before. The 4K thing, that really seems to be something new. But who knows if someone did it, back like 5 years ago or something like that. But those two things right there together are, really setting this software apart.
I'd have to agree, honestly. It's pretty scary to think that something like this exists out there. It's scary that it's evading people's antivirus. It's doing a different way. And I bet you, as we it's going to create this little war. People are patching on one side, and then the other side, people are creating now probably a Lockbit 3.0 to go against that. So it's just this new industry, which is weird to say that ransomware is now becoming an industry for both for cybersecurity corporations and companies that are actually building this ransomware software. It's crazy to think about that. And Lockbit is growing substantially because of their business model. I mean, there was a cyber attack actually done by them by using their software against an airline. I think it was, what was it? I think Bangkok Airways.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man. So they ultimately had an attack where a lot of their files were basically encrypted and compressed, a compressed amount. They thought it was about 200 gigs plus of files. There was just tons of information that was taken, personal information. Some of the things they're describing, they took passengers' names, family names, their gender, phone number, email address. And I bet you anything, they're using this stuff for phishing campaigns. They're going to send basically an email and be like, hey, log in and update your payment information. I'm sure I know I've gotten them, and I think about every single person who has an email has gotten some email that says, hey, update your payment information. That is most of the time a phishing scam. So this airway, they're trying to tell their customers, please don't update your payment information. Please don't try to log in. Don't update your credit card. Don't do that, because that is what this information is being used for, is to target people.
Yeah, I would encourage people to go ahead and get their credit reports locked. That's as individuals, like everybody should be doing that now. It's very easy to do. Just Google it. There's 3 credit bureaus in the USA. If you're in another country, you'll have to look and see what your credit bureaus are. But in the USA, by law, they have a very short time frame to lock. And then when you need to get credit, they have a very short time frame to unlock. Bottom line is they're going to use this kind of information. I mean, I'm looking at like there is special meal information on here, and there's also which could give could like let people know like medical conditions. There's also partial credit card information, historical travel information. So like they could find out that you were in Spain last 3 weeks ago, put that together with your medical condition and the last 4 digits of your card and your email address, and say, hey, this is so-and-so from, your hotel a couple weeks ago. And, hey, send us your new credit card update because we got some great, you know what I mean? Like this could be used against people big time.
I totally agree. Personal information being sold in the dark web, it's crazy. We could talk about that all day, I am sure, about how they use this information, and it's pretty scary. But ultimately, with all of this, I'm sure what people are wondering is, how the heck do I protect myself against this stuff? And I think there's recommendations.
Yeah, this article had some recommendations.
Yeah, so I think one of the first things is really doing an audit and inventory. So getting a full inventory of all of your computers, because honestly, probably the one that got breached is something that you probably didn't really think about. Like that computer that sits in the corner that's just meant for Zoom meetings, and you don't really feel like anyone's using it. So one of these computers off in the corner you're not properly inventory and managing could be the risk. Oh.
Yeah, it could.
Awesome. So what about what do you have anything to say about that?
No, go ahead. You can keep on that. I'm pulling up the article right now.
Awesome. So ultimately, you should be doing a full audit of your systems, a full inventory, and ultimately monitor your computers and get logs on them so you know all of them are protected and safe. So you don't have any points of breach, so hidden computers out there in your organization that people could come in.
Yeah, so I just read an article in the last week or so that they did an audit of cybersecurity practices at the government. And I think it was like the Department of Transportation had like 15,000 devices, both PCs and phones, that were unaccounted for. And that's like basic IT 101 is you got to get down and set your inventory. You got to know what you have so you can know what to protect. That's also like security 101. What are we here to protect? And it's funny that this has to be here. but it does. It's also the first thing they talk about in the NIST, also part of, identify what is out there.
Absolutely. There's some other points here too. What do you know about configuring and monitoring these machines?
Well, you need to not, first off, you don't want to just have computers. I mean, you're going to use them, you're going to need them, but you need to set them up to be monitored. You need to set them up to be patched. Part of, keeping track of your inventory is monitoring them and being aware of what's going on with them. And you can, from that standpoint, you can implement your security stack on it. You can limit what goes on the computer. There's a lot of things that you can do with that.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Patching and update is another. So a lot of what we're seeing right now is systems that are not patched properly. They're not upgraded. They're out-of-date systems are a point of breach. That's where people get in. I talked about that computer that you forgot, that you just never update because you're not working with it all the time. It's just sitting in the corner waiting for you guys to do meetings. These forgotten computers that are not properly inventoried and not properly patched, those are points of vulnerability as well. So it's important that you have a full, basically, log of your patches, making sure every single computer in your organization that has access to company data is patched correctly and continue to be patched.
Yeah, I read an article in the last week or two, a survey of hospitals, and double digits, it was over half, had not patched for, I can't remember which vulnerability it was, but they talked about a certain Bluetooth vulnerability. And then I think it was also WannaCry was one of those on there. And the numbers were astounding that had not patched for them. They're basically sitting ducks. If they were patched for them, a lot of these just go away if you patch. So good point.
Mm-hmm. What do you think about some other ones, Randy?
Well, the next section talks about protect and recover. And the bottom line is this is really dealing with backups, and backups aren't the answer when it comes to ransomware, because Lockbit, like a lot of other ransomwares that are out there, they ask for a ransom to get your data back, of which statistically only a third of all people get all their data back after paying a ransom. But they say if you don't pay the ransom, then they're going to sell it on the dark web, which is what's happening right now with this airline we just read. But that said, being able to protect your data, involves not only backing it up, but you can also encrypt your data. So one, encrypt to the device, or two, encrypt to your company. So if it goes out of network, it's no longer usable. But then also having good backups. Good backups, I would recommend minimum 5-year retention, if not in infinite retention. But just good data practices for your data. Make sure that you have a way back from this ransomware that's going to happen. It's a guarantee.
Awesome. I'm going to kind of try and close out some of the next 2 points here because we got to get moving to some meetings. But I just wanted to say that we need to also secure, defend, and train our employees. So your employees are kind of your biggest vulnerability.
Yep.
They're going to make mistakes. I mean, I make mistakes. We need to have security things and controls in place so that they can't make as many mistakes. So having a good security stack, having good training, cybersecurity training, so they know, hey, when an email says update my payment information, it's probably not something I should click on, because you may have great protections, but they are just, as I said, these people are updating their software. As it talks about in the article, they're going to get smarter. They're going to find ways to break through the systems. So you have to train your employees. You have to teach them about the threats going on. It's no longer something you can turn a blind eye to.
Yeah, and an important part of the training is going to be testing, and that would be the ongoing testing of sending out fake phishing emails, basically. you mentioned, so they'll be aware of them. Gosh, if any of us ever actually get stranded in like Acapulco and need gift cards, we're going to be in big trouble, because all of our employees and hopefully all of our friends will not fall for that scam. But that's one of the scams we see all the time.
Yeah.
And you should get your employees to the place, and yourself, where you're leery of anything like that. I always require a verbal. Man, if I can't get a verbal, then I'm locking down. And so I got an email from one of my coworkers about a payment that was made, and it hadn't been pre-approved. I was on vacation, so maybe they were just trying to save me from having to worry about stuff on vacation, which that's what it turned out to be. But I couldn't get a hold of the person. I locked down. And then, we had to come back after that. But bottom line is, you need to be leery of everything, and just because you get an email or a text, you still ought to verify it with an actual voice, to make sure it is who it says it is. They are who they say they are.
100% agree, Randy. That it's really important. I know that that's something I do in my organization. I use my cell phone more than my email with communication, because I want to make sure I'm talking to the right person, and they're hearing the voice from me, especially with all the cybersecurity threats.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this has been really great, Randy. I'm excited we got to share this with our communities and talking about this. Do you have any closing comments?
No, I think that probably you and I could probably go for hours on this stuff, but we'd probably bore everybody's brains out. But bottom line is, even as a business owner who's not a professional IT security person like John and I, even as a business owner, you got to be aware of stuff that's going on, and you've got to change how you've always done things, because things have changed right now, and our literal businesses are on the line if we don't change. So that's the parting word I'd like to leave right there.
And I agree. I think all of us, we need to focus on our security, teach our employees, and realize that there is risks out there, and there is solutions to protect us against that, to help manage the risks. The world has changed, and I know that we're out here to try and help protect it. All right.
Awesome.
Thank you, everyone, for coming. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. Leave some comments and questions for us, and we'd be happy to answer anything for you. If you ever want to talk, we'd love to listen.
All right, everybody. Everybody have a great day.